Hello friends, welcome back to Premo Cooks. I'm Danielle Premo, and today I'm going to show you one of my favorite things to make in the kitchen. My second favorite thing is soup stock, which we have a video for. But today I'm going to show you how to make beans from scratch, which is very exciting. I love making beans from scratch. I'm going to tell you why at the end of this video after we run through the steps of making them. Today we're going to do chickpeas, which are one of my favorite beans of all time. And I will tell you also at the end of the video all the different things that you can do with these if you do make them at home. So what I want to do first is take these beans that I've soaked overnight. You want to soak your beans for 8 hours at least, but you can soak them a little bit longer. So I started these last night. Now what we're going to do is go strain this water off, give them a rinse, and then dump them in a pot and fill it with water. All right, we have our chickpeas in here. They're rinsed off. We've covered them with a couple inches of water. So before we start boiling our beans, we're gonna add kombu, which is a seaweed, and the minerals in this break down the starches of the bean that make it indigestible. So we're gonna add that in, and now we're gonna we're gonna put it on to high heat, bring it to a boil, and then once we get there, we'll reduce it to a simmer. So as you can see, we have a nice boil going and there's some foam happening, which is very common with beans, but particularly chickpeas tend to get pretty foamy. So I'm going to turn this down so it doesn't overflow. Sometimes the foam will overwhelm the sides and drip all over your stove. Let's turn this down. I'm going to skim off some of this foam. You don't have to get all of it, but get the majority. And then just want to double check and make sure I have a good simmer going, which I do. And now we're going to leave it for probably, I'm going to guess 40-ish minutes. So once they're done, we'll show you what they look like when they're done. Chickpeas tend to cook a little bit faster than other beans. Some can take up to an hour after soaking. Chickpeas, I've noticed, cook a lot more quickly. So we will check in with you when they're done.
On your deathbed, you will receive total consciousness.
All right, my friends.
So I got that going for me.
We are going to check our chickpeas. It's been about 40 minutes. To test any bean, doesn't have to be just chickpea, smash it. Oh, look at that, smashed perfect. And then eat it, delicious. Actually, it's gonna be more delicious once I add salt, but the texture is perfect. So I'm gonna turn the heat off. And then remember we put that big piece of kombu in there. Now we're gonna remove it. And as you can see, it's grown in size quite a lot. And you can eat that or throw it away. I'm gonna throw it away. All those minerals have come out and done their business, done their job, and we don't need it anymore. But what we do wanna do is add salt. The reason that we're adding salt at the end and we didn't add it at the beginning is because it will slow the cooking process down. And that statement in and of itself is very controversial. When I was in school, we had two different instructors where one swore by adding salt at the beginning, one swore by doing salt at the end. I've always done it at the end, and you also control the salt content better that way because it's not boiling in salty water. So now what I'm gonna do is add a generous amount of salt, let's say 2 tablespoons. Kind of like you're doing pasta water, because a lot of the salt's gonna stay in the water and a little bit will go into the beans. Give it a stir and then let it stand in this salty water for about 5 minutes. Then test one, see how salty it is. If you want it to be more salty, let it sit in there a little bit longer. So we're gonna give it 5 minutes and then we'll check them for taste. All right, been 5 minutes. Gonna give them a taste. They're perfect. Salt makes everything better. Now I'm gonna take these over to the sink and strain them off. Ready? All right, so now we have our beautiful, delicious, yummy, nutritious chickpeas, AKA garbanzo beans. Same thing. So I'm gonna see how well I can pour these into a bowl. Oh, look at this. Oh, perfect. Bam. They're so nutritious and delicious. So now, stick around. I need to stock on a few of these and then we'll go to our afterthoughts and I will fill you in on all the ways you can use these, store these, and other little tips for making them at home.
Good job, babe.
Thanks. Okie dokie, my friends. Let's chat some more about beans from scratch. First of all, before I answer most commonly asked questions, I just want to tell you the ratio, since I didn't give you any in the video. For every 1 cup of soaked bean that you have, you're going to use about 4 cups of fresh water. And then for every 1 cup about 2 inches of kombu. This works for any kind of legume, so kidney bean, black bean, pinto bean, all the beans. You can use the same exact process except for lentils. Lentils have a different process. You're not going to soak them overnight, and we have a how-to video for that you can find. I think that's it for the ratios. And then another question folks always ask is, why do you soak these beans overnight? And there's 2 reasons. One is it helps the cooking process immensely because it absorbs, if you start with a dried bean, it absorbs all this water when you soak it overnight. And so you've done a lot of the cooking process already. And secondly, in that soaking process and then the rinsing them, you're also wiping off some of those starches that I referenced that can cause indigestibility and cause gas and flatulence. Another question is, why make them from scratch? It is a longer process, but there's quite a few reasons. 1, they just taste better. They're so much better when you can season them yourself. 2, you can control the amount of sodium in them. And then 3, you can do things like add kombu to help them be more digestible, because store-bought beans are generally just cooked in big vats very quickly. They add a bunch of salt and preservatives, put it in a can. So they're not fresh. They don't really have that same life to them that one that you buy or make from scratch would. And they're really, really inexpensive when you buy them in bulk and dried. And then it's also, some people get intimidated by this process because you're putting all this work into making beans, but you can make a ton of them at one time, and then you can portion them and freeze them, which is what I do often. So that then it's like you have a frozen bag of beans as opposed to a can. And even when they're frozen, they take no time at all to defrost, and you can toss them frozen into a frying pan if you're doing a stir fry or whatnot, which leads me to, what do you do with homemade beans, or chickpeas in specific? Chickpeas I find to be one of the most versatile beans. I love them. They're my favorite. If you didn't already hear me say that a million times, I love chickpeas. They're very versatile. You can make hummus, you can toss them into salads, you can put them in curries, you can put them in stir fries, you can eat them plain as snacks, as I often do. You can toss them in the oven, coat them in some oil, roast them up and make them crunchy and make gluten-free croutons out of them. So good luck to you at home. I hope you try this. And I hope that you end up enjoying the process of making beans as much as I do. Comments below, questions below. Thank you. They smell delicious.